you have a key command for that?
Spacebar, I believe, does it.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody? Welcome to Community Church of Boston. Happy June. Happy beautiful day after some dark days. And happy last program of Community Church's season. That's both a happy and a sad thing. We've had a wonderful year and a difficult year too. And here comes the summer and we knock off for a while, although we have some programs coming up. We light our candle to start, a candle for unity, a candle for justice and strength and equality, and for an end to wars. Good morning to Rod McDonald and Mark Dan. They are our wonderful music for this morning. We've had Rod a number of times. I've also hosted Rod for concerts in other venues as well as Mark. So we're just glad to have them always. They're on a tour right now, happen to be in Woodstock, New York. And after they're done with us, they'll be driving many hours to another gig tonight. So we're really just honored and thankful that they are able to take time off of their touring schedule to be with us this morning. Rod McDonald and Mark Dan, good morning.
There we are. Good.
There we are.
Hi, everybody.
You have to unmute.
Hello.
I think I did unmute. No?
Yes, you are unmuted.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. Good morning, everybody. This is Mark back here on the bass. We're in Mark's recording studio in Woodstock, New York. And let's start with a little song. You know, I think, turn our room sound down for a second so we don't have that echo, if you would. I think that each time I've been with the community church, it's been in conjunction with an author. And it got me thinking that, you know, I've published a couple novels myself, but if you go to the trouble to write a book, you know, people ought to be able to read it. So here's a little song for you readers out there. Here's one for all the parents who have kids in public schools and are concerned about what they might chance to read. When it comes to education, you can trust my administration to step in and meet this very pressing need. Keep 'em stupid, ban that book. Don't even let 'em look. Take it down off the rack. Throw it on the fire out back. Keep 'em stupid, let 'em grow. Never knowing what they don't know. Ban that book, no muss, no fuss. Then they'll always vote for us. Here's one that's so outrageous, full of perverted pages. How two penguins try to raise an egg as one. Do you believe that they're both male? It'd turn poor Jesus pale. Get it out of here before it hurts someone. Keep 'em stupid, ban that book. Don't even let 'em look. Take it down off the rack. Throw it on the fire out back. Keep 'em stupid, let 'em grow. Never knowing what they don't know. Ban that book, no muss, no fuss. Then they'll always vote for us. Don't get me started, baby, on the history of slavery and the theory there might have been racists in the South. All those lynchings never happened, and it was so good for black men. The kids don't need to read about it now. Keep 'em stupid, ban that book. Don't even let 'em look. Take it down off the rack. Throw it on the fire out back. Keep 'em stupid, let 'em grow. Never knowing what they don't know. Ban that book, no muss, no fuss. Then they'll always vote for us. socialists and commies. The two women can't be mummies, and it's time their children finally understood. The sex you're born to's undeniable. You want to read, here's a Bible. Those empty shelves are only there for your own good. Keep 'em stupid, ban that book. Don't even let 'em look. Take 'em down off the rack. Throw it on the fire out back. Keep 'em stupid, let 'em grow. Never knowing what they don't know. Ban that book, no muss, no fuss. Then they'll always vote for us.
And Mark Dan.
A cheery little warm-up song for you.
There you go. And I can't help but tell about how many books we have in this auditorium, to the point that some people have suggested that we call it our banned bookstore. This is also the moment to make a pitch for a few books that we have several extra copies of. Several speakers who have been with us recently. Miko Peled, this is called Injustice, the Story of the Holy Land Foundation 5. We have several copies of that book. Miko was with us just last month, and the Holy Land Foundation 5 won our Sacco and Vanzetti Award in 2023. Find out about who they are. Several of them are still in prison for the good trouble they did. We also have Captain Dennis Fritz, who wrote a book called Deadly Betrayal, The Truth About Why the United States Invaded Iraq. Forward by Larry Wilkerson. Both of those gentlemen have been on our stage recently, and you can find them on our YouTube channel. The presentation they did together here about 2 months ago. And then there's this morning's speaker that is Phil Tourney. He is one of the authors of this book that's called Remember the Liberty, Almost Sunk by Treason on the High Seas. Philip Nelson is the principal author, and it has contributions from several other survivors of the attack on the USS Liberty in 1967. So that's a little bit of a plug for some books that we have several extra copies. All proceeds from these books go to the USS Liberty Alumni Association, who even 60 years later demand an investigation of what it was that happened, and we'll hear a lot more about that when Phil is with us this morning. Here's a book that is a speaker that's also on our YouTube channel. He did a presentation in Cambridge with Issa Amro, the Hebron West Bank activist, and this is Peter Beinart. This is called Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza, A Reckoning. And you can see his presentation on our YouTube channel as well. And several other books. That's plugs for books that we have here at the church, and many other authors that we have. I think next week we need to get all the copies of all the different books that some of the speakers gave us over the course of the last season. It's an amazing thing. So in terms of announcements, let me first go backwards. Several of us were at the Harvard commencement last Thursday with signs demonstrating, and picked up a couple of things. This is a really cool thing, Harvard Crimson Magazine, and it has a beautiful article about Community Church of Boston and our association with the Sacco and Vanzetti case, which goes all the way back to our founding in 1920, when the Sacco and Vanzetti were arrested and charged falsely with a crime they didn't commit. And this is a very well-written article by an undergrad named Olivia Pasquarella. And we have a few copies of this here. It's also online if you go to the Harvard Crimson. Olivia also is a radical author and is part of this other rag that they publish anonymously. It's called the Harvard Crimes On, or maybe you could call it the Harvard Crime Scene. And it's all about Harvard's ties with Zionism and with weapons systems and AI systems to target families for bombings, and it's a really they publish this every couple months, and it's a really great alternative to the Harvard Crimson. Let's see. I want to send out big thanks to Sandra Harris, who made us a beautiful meal. We had a board mini retreat here at the church yesterday, and talk about mole, Mexican mole, and beautiful rice. Thank you, Sandra, for that. Before that, we had last Sunday a tribute to our church elders. And each one of them got one of these beautiful mugs that are Community Church of Boston mugs. It says, "A Peace and Justice Congregation since 1920. The other side says 105 years of good trouble, and it's a tall little stick drawing of our church building. And we happen to have a few more of these mugs, not many. We need to reorder them. They were very popular. You can take one in exchange for whatever generous contribution you can make to help us through our difficult times here at Community Church. That was a wonderful tribute to some of our elders, and we thank them for participating either online or in person. It was just a really joyous moment, some that we don't see very often because it becomes more difficult to transport themselves here. So let me talk about the end of our season. Tomorrow, in the evening, if you're interested, if you are a new member or considering membership, we're having a 1 hour long orientation, basically for targeted at the 12 people who have signed up as members in the last year, just to give them a little talk about all the things we're involved in, different projects around this building, both the physical plant as well as things that happen in this building, all the meetings of different groups that we have here, as well as the different archives that we have on each floor of the building. And it'll be at 6 p.m. If you're interested in the Zoom link to that meeting, call the office tomorrow, 617-266-6710, and we'll get you that link. And it's just a talk about being a new member and what's involved in membership. What was that? No.
Just virtual.
It's only virtual. Yeah. Just a quick hello. Some of our board members will be there as well. And so join us tomorrow night, June 2nd. June 8th is the annual meeting, members meeting. We have a lot of business to conduct. We're trying to reform our bylaws to be applicable to the 21st century. They haven't been amended in a long time. And we hope if you're a member that you join us. We need not just a majority, but a super majority to be able to amend our bylaws. So do join us, and we'll be plugging all the week to try and get you all to join us, either in person or virtual. It's an 11 a.m. brunch followed by the 12 o'clock business meeting, June 8th, Sunday, June 8th. We also have on June 20th, a day after Juneteenth celebration. Our friend Don Wright, who has been a presenter here at the church, spent a good piece of time in prison and is now just a remarkable activist and doer of good. That's how I describe Don. And he made a film that's called Cathedrals, and it's about his growing up in the Cathedral Project, which is right here in the South End. And that film will be screened in person on June 20th. It also will be an online presentation, pay-per-view, $5, I think, to watch the film with us, and it'll be introduced by the two filmmakers, Don Wright and his partner, whose name escapes me. Next thing that happens is a remarkable online presentation. Jeffrey Sachs will be with us on Tuesday, June 10th, 7 p.m. This is a remarkable public intellectual voice of dissent and reason, and a very popular voice as well. And we look forward to hosting Jeffrey on Tuesday, June 10th, 7 p.m. Again, if you're interested in the link and don't have it, if you're on our email list, you can. There's an invitation to the link, and if you don't have that invitation, call us at the office or send us an email, and we'll send you the link to sign up for the June 20th film that's called Cathedrals. Cathedrals. Last little item before I turn it over to Rod and Mark for what we call a musical message, a couple of songs. This is called Children of the Days. Eduardo Galeano. He has
Dean, get closer to the microphone.
He has a submission for every day of the year, and this is for June 1st. And it's called Atahualpa's Revenge. You've heard of that before, but this is a different one, I think. I haven't read it yet, but here's what it says. The town of Tambo Grande slept on a bed of gold. Gold lay under the houses unbeknownst to anyone. The news arrived along with the eviction orders. The Peruvian government had sold the entire town to Manhattan Minerals Corporation. Now you will all be millionaires, they were told. But no one obeyed. On this day in the year 2002, the result of a plebiscite was announced. The inhabitants of Tambo Grande had decided to continue living from avocados, mangoes, limes, and other fruits of the land they had worked so hard to wrest from the desert. Well, they knew that gold curses the places it inhabits. It blows apart the hills with dynamite and poisons the rivers with tailings that contain more cyanide than blessed water. Maybe they also knew that gold makes people crazy, because with gold, the more you eat, the hungrier you get. In 1533, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro ordered Atahualpa strangled, even though the king of Peru had given him all the gold he demanded. Atahualpa's Revenge. Boy, does that ever remind me of El Salvador right now, a place that I travel frequently. Our secretary clerk is also from El Salvador, and our cook as well, Luis Guzman. There was a long and hard struggle to keep mineral mining out of El Salvador because it was going to affect some places that I travel to a lot, a province called Chalatenango, mountains to be moved to extract tiny amounts of gold and pollute rivers. There was a exclusion of metal mining passed about 10 years ago, but now there's a government that does whatever it wants and complete impunity, and that has been repealed, and metal mining is back on the drawing board, and it's a scary, sad thing, and it's a whole new battle that is more difficult to fight with this present administration. You've heard about some of the other fascistic things that Bukele does with that prison. It's an awful, awful thing. Enough of me. Let's hear now again from Rod and Mark from Woodstock, New York.
Hello. Here we are. There we are. You hear us okay?
I turned the volume.
Well, this is a pretty recent song for me. Just about a couple months old, I guess. So if you like it, you can find it on YouTube. I think there's a version of it there. It's called Everyone But You. Those people whose job it was to see that the water was fit for drinking and the air still fit to breathe are gone like the park rangers and all the scientists too. You thought they'd find everyone but you. Yeah, they fired 100,000, said you don't work here anymore. You cheered and said that's exactly what you voted for. 100,000 families and all the work they do. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Yeah, you thought they'd fire everyone but you. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Now the fridge is empty and the mortgage is due. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. They started charging at the border, sent prices through the roof, sent all the migrants home, there's no one left to pick the fruits. Then they pardoned all the criminals, just like they said they'd do. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Yeah, they shut down education, gave the diplomats the shaft, cut the funds for the disabled, fired all the chiefs of staff. In case they needed to take over, you said that's alright too. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Yeah, you thought they'd fire everyone but you. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Now you're in need of some assistance, but they ended all that too. You thought they'd fire everyone but you. Maybe you're just so religious, maybe you're a billionaire, maybe you had to send some people back to who knows where. But that devil, thief and liar that you promised yourself to, you thought he'd burn everyone but you. Yeah, you thought he'd burn everyone but you. Thought they'd burn everyone but you. Now you've stared into the fire and you just don't know what to do. You thought they'd burn everyone but you. Yeah, you thought they'd burn everyone but you. You thought they'd burn everyone but you. Well, I want to play an older song of mine, but one I haven't sung a lot. I probably should sing it a lot more than I do, but it came back around in a meaningful way to me recently. I'll try to keep this short, but in 1981, during a period of personal self-searching, you might say, and after doing a bit of study, I went out to the Hopi Indian Reservation in northeast Arizona, and made friends with a man named Thomas Banyakia, who was a person who traveled with the grandfather of the Hopi Nation to the United Nations and did a lot of the public speaking on behalf of his people. He was a very kind man, and he treated me very graciously, introduced me to people around on the reservation, and I visited with him when he came to New York City a couple years later. A lot of years passed, and I always intended to get back to Hopi, but other than a casual visit one time. I never did. About a month ago, in April, late April, I had the opportunity to get back there, and I was able to find Mr. Bunyaki's son, who's quite a well-educated man, has a doctorate in nuclear physics, did a lot of work on epidemic response for the United States government before returning to the reservation and retiring. And it kind of completed a circle for me that was very important to me personally. And the reason I mention it is because when I was there the first time, I wrote a song. I met Mr. Bunyaka and was on my way to go to the Oribe part of the reservation, which is high up on these rocks and has been there longer than any town in North America, continuously inhabited. And when I got there, the chief's wife sent for me and asked me how I got there. But the way I got there was to come up the back way, this back trail that the public doesn't know about. And when I got to the top of the rocks where the village was, I had the opportunity to go stand on the edge of the rocks. And I had my guitar with me, and I just kind of made up a song. I'm not a person who... I'm generally scared of heights, so this was a very emotional experience for me, and I just have started singing the song again after all these years. So I'd like to share it with you folks today. It's called "Here I Stand." I've been trying to find a way to climb this mountain all day, a trail out on the sands. I'm overwhelmed by what I see, carved out by the centuries and barely touched by man. And here I stand before you, my two legs in your wind. I bring my song before you, just to see your face again. I'm not a man who'll often try to climb on a place this high, but here I am, not afraid. There's things that go more high, I know. The clouds make shadows down below, where my shadow stayed. And here I stand before you, my two legs in your wind. I bring my song before you, just to see your face again. And if I've got a tale to tell, I must sing my song so well, you will hear it somewhere. Let another man than I stand here pressed against the sky, raising his voice on high to you out there. But I must go back to where I came, mind the wind and heed the rain, and sing a song that's true. But if this moment in the sun could be shared by everyone, they'd see the work you do. And here I stand before you, my two legs in your wind. I bring just to see your face again, just to see your face again. Thank you.
Rod McDonald and Mark Dan, thank you so much. We'll hear from them once more after our speaker. I want to also...
Hey, Dean, if I could echo one of your tech guys there, could you speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes. I'm eating the mic now, and so that I can tell you about another book, which is by one of our members who is in attendance here and who will be giving us a presentation in the fall. His name is Prince Yemi Ogunyemi. Did I say it? Did I butcher your name, Yemi? And it's called Martin Luther King Jr. and Other Poems, The Calm Strength of Humanity. And Prince is a multi-published author of many books of poetry and of Yoruba spiritualism and philosophy, and it's wonderful that he has a new book out, and we have several copies if you'd like to take one home with you today. So thank you for being with us, Yemi, and let's go on to introduce our speaker, Phil Tourney. I would like to introduce him by reading from the book about Phil, basically reading what's called a paradoxical award from President Johnson and Admiral John McCain II. And this gives you a little description of what we'll be talking about today. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Bronze Star Medal to Petty Officer 3rd Class Phillip Francis Tourney, United States Navy, for service as set forth in the following citation. For heroic achievement in connection with the unprovoked and unexpected armed attack on USS Liberty, AGTR-5, in the eastern Mediterranean on 8 June of 1967. During the early afternoon hours, the USS Liberty, while engaged in peaceful operations in international waters, was attacked without warning by jet fighter aircraft and 3 motor torpedo boats. The Liberty was subjected to intense incendiary machine gun and rocket fire and was placed in extreme jeopardy by a torpedo hit below the waterline on the starboard side in the vicinity of the research compartment. Severe structural damage and extensive personnel casualties were incurred. Petty Officer Tourney, serving as assistant on scene leader in the forward repair party, first assisted in organizing the evacuation of wounded personnel from the exposed weather decks. With complete disregard for his own personal safety, he continued to fearlessly expose himself to intense rocket and machine gun fire to move a firefighting team to the bridge. He then returned to the forward weather decks to ensure that no more wounded were still exposed before going below to maintain damage control conditions of compartments below the waterline. He remained below decks during the torpedo attack and immediately afterward assisted and directed emergency repairs to minimize further flooding and damage. His aggressiveness and coolness under the fire was exceptional, inspirational leadership in an hour of awesome peril. Petty Officer Tourney's initiative and courageous actions were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Petty Officer Tourney is authorized to wear the V, Combat V, for valor. For the President, John S. McCain Jr., Admiral, United States Navy Commander-in-Chief, United States Naval Forces of Europe. That is a description in his award that he was given the Bronze Star for heroic actions. Interesting that it doesn't mention Israel once. Just have to mention that, and I'm sure Phil will talk about that, just the brazen act that was committed on that vessel, and it leads to today, in the midst of this horrific genocide of 2 million people by starvation, there's a direct line. And the common thread is that the United States is complicit, and that's our own country, and it's unconscionable. That's all I want to say in saying to Phil, it's an honor to be with you in your presence and hear your story. We tried once and we had an audio tech issue, so we have you again here, and we'd like to hear from you again. And thank you again for joining us from Colorado, earlier in the morning than here. And again, thanks, Phil, for your service.
Thank you so much, Dean. It's my great honor for you to invite me to this very, very important show. It's your church, and it means a lot to me that people don't forget, because 34 of my brothers, a week from today, were slaughtered by the Zionist state of Israel. People think that this story is just going to go away. I'm pushing 80 right now, and it's not going away as long as I'm walking. My shipmates don't have a voice, but I do. And you mentioned nothing about the attackers in that citation. All of them were like that. Not a word about who did it. Not a word about the criminals that tried to murder us all. They did murder 34, blew them to bits in this 2-hour bloodbath. Excuse me. The air attack started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, that morning we were overflown by Israeli reconnaissance aircraft over and over again. That happened also on the 7th. We got on the station on the 7th of June. It happened then, and it happened again that morning. Suddenly, the airplanes would tip their wings, and we could see the pilots. That's how close they were. They were propeller planes, flying boxcar, DC-3, and smaller planes, all prop driven with the Star of Dave on them. We felt very, very good that our friends were there to help us in case anything happened, because we were denied a destroyer escort we requested twice. We were in a war zone. You could see the bombs bursting on the beach. Great big black clouds, just all over and over again. You could see it. And we had our flag up, always flying. At 2 o'clock, they attacked us with Mystere and Mirage jets. They did over 30 sorties. Within the first 3 seconds, they knocked out every antenna on our spy ship. Now, it was the most sophisticated spy ship in the world at that time. We could bounce signals off the moon back to National Security Agency within 3 seconds in 1967. So you can imagine what they have now. So we didn't have any idea who was attacking us. We thought it was the Arabs. But no, it was our best friends in the whole wide world. We thought the Jews, the Zionist state. They blocked all of our tuning antennas. They blocked everything. One was taken offline by Terry Haldebardier. He ran a long wire to it, got a message out to the 6th Fleet. It went as far as Vietnam. They picked it up in Vietnam. Help, Rockstar, under attack by unknown jet aircraft. Captain Tully sent jet aircraft to come to our aid immediately. And this is about, 12, 13 minutes into the attack. Help was on the way, and McNamara got on the phone, said, return those aircraft. Send them back to base. Do not help Liberty. Do not help Liberty. So they went back to their ship on the Saratoga. A few moments later, the America and the Saratoga relaunched jet fighter aircraft to come to our aid. LBJ got on the line, and he says, I don't give a GD about a few dead sailors. I will not embarrass my ally Israel. Now, how did he know who was attacking us if we didn't? We were set up by our own government to be sunk and blame it on Egypt, bring us into World War III, and we were close. There were SAC aircraft in the air even before we got attacked to go bomb Cairo. That's how this setup went down. When the jet airplanes got through with us, it was 25 or 30 minutes. We thought it was over. It wasn't close to being over. We saw 3 mortar torpedo boats off our starboard side. They had the Star of David on them. We thought, thank God our buddies are here to help us. Because we still didn't know who was attacking us until then, till that moment when we saw the Star of David. They weren't there to help us. They were there to sink us. That attack lasted for another hour and a half. So in this 2-hour bloodbath, the torpedo boats were there an hour and a half. They fired 5 torpedoes at us. 2 went aft that I know of, where the other 2, I don't know where they went, but I know where one went. It went right into the CT spaces, the spies. It blew 25 beautiful young men to bits. They had to piece them together when we got back to Malta. They were just all in bits and pieces. The torpedo boats circled us and circled us and circled us, firing their 50 caliber machine guns, cannons, anything they could to kill anything that moved. Firefighters, stretcher bearers, anything that moved, they wanted dead. We thought we were going to sink. The old man said, prepare to abandon ship. We only had 3 life rafts left out of 294 souls. We only had 3 life rafts left. They shot them all up. They dropped napalm on our ship to burn us up. They shot the life rafts out of the water. They shot 2 of them out of the water. We were going to put our most seriously wounded in them so they'd have a chance at life. And they shot them out of the water like it was no big deal. War crimes. There were so many war crimes committed that day. And in 205, we filed a war crimes report to the Army. That's where it went to. That's where it had to go to. They denied to even look at it. This cover-up is so deep and disgusting and sinful, it brings a grown man to tears. It has me many times. The torpedo boats finally got through with us. We thought it was over again, but no, it wasn't. Here come helicopters carrying Israeli Marines ready to board our ship, ladder or rope down, however they were going to do it. I was up on the starboard deck, top side, on the starboard side, and this helicopter was there with the Israeli dude, Marine, with an automatic weapon in his hand. Thought they were going to kill us all, so I just flipped him off. He did the same thing to me and started smiling. He just smiled. All the damage and destruction, what you get out of them is a smile. Is a smile for what they did to American sailors and Marines. And I might add, there were Jews on that ship too who were killed. I know of at least 2 that were killed by the very people that loved that religion and loved those people. You know, there's a lot of different components to this. Admiral McCain, the one that signed that award for me, as he did all of them, he left everything out, but he was part of the cover-up. He was the catalyst of it. Admiral Isaac Kidd, after the America and the Saratoga, America and the USS Davis got there in the Massey the next morning on the 9th, they left us out there for 17 hours. Our government did, hoping we'd sink. We didn't see any rescue aircraft, anybody, for 17 hours. They didn't even send a Piper Cub over to help us see what was going on. That's what our government did. That's how corrupt and crooked both governments are. The Zionist state and our government to this very moment have been covering up the truth, threatening us with prison or death if we ever talked about it. I didn't talk about it for almost 18, 19 years until I read an article by a friend of mine, Master Chief Stan White, God bless his soul, he's passed on now. And that's when I said, wow, if he can talk, I'm going to start talking. I haven't shut up since. I've been called every name in the book, Jew hater, a Nazi. In fact, I made Anti-Semite of the week this last week because I'm telling the truth. I'm an anti-Semite. That word is worn out. It's worn out and it's been used too much. When you tell the truth, they call you names. I get threats. Our crew has gotten threats. They don't want us talking, but we're talking. They try to scuttle our reunion coming up. I'll be in Virginia Beach this next coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, honoring our fallen mates. They tried to shut us down there in the VFW because one of the speakers we had, they didn't like him. We fought and died for people to have the right for free speech. That's what you do. When you join the military, you take an oath of the Constitution. And that's what all people in the military take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution in the United States. And the First and Second Amendment are the biggest ones to me. But they want to take that away because you tell the truth. President Trump, he knows about this. We've written him. I've sent him things on True Social, never get a reply back. It just, goes on and on and on. What is it going to take to get this story out? No one should be allowed to get by with cold-blooded, premeditated murder of Americans, sailors, and Marines, or any American in the world and get by with it. Now, if this had been in any other country besides Israel, they would have wiped them off the map. They'd have been done. But our government gave Israel billions and billions of dollars, and they continue to today, right to this second, sending them arms and munitions, slaughtering, starving innocent children that have no skin in this war. None. So who do you think runs our country? AIPAC, ADL runs our country. Tom Massey said it best. Everybody in the Republicans has got an AIPAC handler. AIPAC handler. If the Republicans got it, the Democrats do. All of them. They got handlers to say, don't touch this subject, but touch the other one. Don't touch this subject. Make sure you don't touch the USS Liberty ever. Stays buried. Lyndon Johnson and Levi Eshkol, Prime Minister of Israel, got the little cabal together. It was a handful of people to start World War III. That's how close we came. By the grace of God, he held that ship up because we were going over. And he held that ship up for days like this, for people like me to talk about the USS Liberty and what happened, and the savagery, the brutality, the thought that they didn't care what they did. They just wanted us at the bottom. They even knew, one of the pilots said, hey, but it's an American ship. And it's an American ship. Headquarters got back to him. You have your orders. Attack it now. And attack it they did, and the consequences are well known. 174 wounded, 34 murdered in a 2-hour bloodbath that's gone on for the last 58 years. We're fighting this battle. This battle's never stopped for me. Since June 8th, 1967, this battle's never stopped. I'm still in battle with my voice. Not raising arms, not guns, not bombs, not nothing else. We don't condone that. The USS Liberty is a very peaceful organization, and we believe in Jesus Christ as our Savior. This is a peaceful revolution with your words and facts. And that's where I'm coming from. So I do want to mention this too. I'm going to start my own podcast here in the next, when I get back from the reunion next Monday. Soon after that, I'll be starting my own podcast on YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, all of them. So it'll be the Phil Tourney podcast. So if anybody wants to join in, and take a bird's eye view of what's going on, because I'm going to have survivors on with their eyewitness testimony. I'm going to have documents, unrefutable. You can't refute the truth. We're on a mission from God. I'm gonna have I'd like to have Dean on, or anybody else that wants to tell the story about the USS Liberty. I'm going to get Pastor Chuck Baldwin. I think you all have heard of him. I'm going to graciously ask him if he'll come on, and I think he will. And many other smart people. But I'm going to have so many survivors that are left. There's only going to be 16 or 18 at the reunion. We used to have a heck of a lot, but they're all dying off. They got cancer. They're too old. They can't walk. By the grace of God, I still have a good body and a sound mind. And this isn't revenge or hate for me. This is the truth. It's my legacy as an American and a survivor of the USS Liberty, to spread the word to everybody in this country and around the world. We have supporters around the world. And that is, probably the greatest gift I've ever gotten in my life. Candace Owens is certainly one of them. Jake Shields, Fresh and Fit, Myron Gaines, Jimmy Dore, Scott Ritter. I've been, Clayton Morris, Redacted. I've been on those shows, all of them. They've always been gracious to me, inviting me, and treated me with respect as I did them. I really appreciated their help. So, with that, I want to show you one more thing here. See that bell there? And that, I'm going to bring it down here. If you can see that, I had this made up in honor of the crew, the men that died that day. And I'm going to be selling these. I had them made up at a substantial cost, but I'm going to be selling them on my podcast for around $100. And you can ring that bell in honor of these men every June the 8th. Even when we're dead and gone, the memory will live on. So that's my mission here. And Dean, I give you all the respect in the world, and your church for giving me this opportunity. And like I say, just go to Phil Tourney podcast, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, any of them. You'll find me there. And the crew's getting together, and it's going to be a very tough one because everybody's dying off, and sad to say, but as long as I'm alive, as long as I can sit in this chair, I'm going to be telling the truth. This is God's gift to me. He kept me alive. He kept me fairly healthy. Well, actually, real healthy. Very fortunate. My hearing's going a little bit in my eyesight, but everybody knows that. That goes with age. But other than that, I'm fit and I'm ready to go, and I'm going to stand tall as long as I can. And God bless you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it means the world to me. God bless you all. Thank you.
Phil Tourney, thank you so much. Keep on telling that story as long as you can, and we will do the same through our YouTube channel and our other avenues, through our own Vets for Peace chapter that meets here every couple of weeks. That would be a wonderful topic for them to take up as well. Phil Tourney, thanks so much. It's just like, it's remarkable to hear you talking about that almost 60 years later. Before we have one last wonderful song from Rod and Mark, I want to tell you that we depend on you to keep the lights on and to keep this project going. We are a speaker series that goes from October to June every year, every Sunday, and we also have a lot of other events during the week, online events, meetings of all sorts. There's about a half a dozen different groups that meet here and use this space for their organizing, and we need your help. So there is a basket in the back for those who are in attendance here in person. For those who are online, there is a website, communitychurchofboston.org, where you can go, and there is a credit card or a PayPal option. Thank you so much. We depend on you and our members and our pledgers to stay alive and survive and continue our many projects. Rod McDonald, Mark Dan, thanks again for joining us and with this last song, and we hope to see you again soon. Maybe live in person here in town, maybe in this very room. How about that?
Love it. Mr. Tourney, thank you so much for that presentation. I confess I'm one of those ignorant people who had no idea about the story of the Liberty before today. Although I have to say that at my age and growing up in America, I'm no stranger to the government trying to keep things secret from us. But thank you so much for what you said, and I wish you the greatest of success in bringing your story to the public in a much wider way, that we all know what went on. Well, once again, this is Mark Dan playing the bass with me, and Dean, I hope I get to come take you up on that invitation sometime soon. That would be great. Have you ever noticed when you're being disregarded, there's a singular phrase the politicals say: for the good of the country, pretend nothing's happened. Just close your eyes and make it all go away. Hear them say, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. There was a president, popularly elected in the prime of his life, gunned down in his car. They blamed it all on some guy who couldn't even shoot, swore in a new president and went off to war. And we said, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. There was a ship anchored in a Vietnam harbor on one summer evening. It was blown all to hell. We invaded, lost 50,000 soldiers. Years later we found out we blew it up ourselves, and we said, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. Down in Chile, a great democracy was ended by the military takeover. some sinister conspiracy referred to as they, and I wondered who exactly they are. But now I know the answer when I hear them say, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. So remember, sometime in your future, some pretender will want to be your leader one day. First he'll tell you how all your votes just disappeared. Step up to the microphone and give himself away when he says, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. We'll hear them say, for the good of America, forget it, 'cause it's time to move on. But the truth is, you know it when you hear it. Their lips are moving, but they're doing you wrong. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure to join you folks today, and very informative listening to you, Mr. Tourney. Thank you so much for your story.
Rod, you're an amazing songwriter, and you've got a heartbeat of a bass player to back you up, and it's just a terrific thing having you both here this afternoon now, and thank you again. We have a little time for some conversation with Phil. I want to start by asking you if there is any information from the Israeli military about how this plan was hatched up to bomb an ally supporter's flag and blame it on Egypt. Is there any records that have come to light about the thinking and planning behind it? And do you think that Johnson knew about it from before it happened, and his top generals knew about it before it happened as well? Oh boy. I'm so sorry that Phil is not with us. So I ask that rhetorical question. And I imagine it would be a good question to ask Miko Peled, who was with us last month. His father was a top general in the 1967 war, but we don't have him to ask either. But let's open the floor for commentaries. Phil is no longer with us, but I just really admire Phil that he wants to keep on telling this story and demand a further investigation. It's really important, and we will be following his podcast and honoring the alumni of the USS Liberty. The website is called justiceforliberty.org. I bought a hat, USS Liberty AGTR 5. I was going to ask Phil what that meant as well. Justice for Liberty, there are several things you can purchase there as a benefit for them. They have their anniversary event coming up in June. There is a gathering, and it happens every year. Phil told me that they are dedicating a new piece of artwork, a public artwork that will be. They tried to get it put in a public place, and there's no place that will display it publicly. And it ends up, it will be in a VFW hall somewhere in that area of Virginia Beach. And interesting that we have a similar predicament, which is that we have a famous plaque, Sacco Vanzetti plaque, which has been tried to be displayed publicly for 80 years to no avail. The city keeps turning it down. Anyway, here's Tim. Have some commentary or some questions between ourselves in the absence of Phil. I could also ask Phil. I have his phone number and email address if there are any particular questions that we could frame for Phil and the Survivors Society.
Okay, everybody hear me? Yeah, I have no direct knowledge of these things myself. I should begin with that qualifier. However, I did just recently finish a book called The Unspoken Kennedy Truth by a French fellow named Laurent, and I'm not going to get the pronunciation right, Guyenot, in which it includes an account of the USS Liberty attack as a means, not because it's of direct interest to what's going on in the book, but because the author wants to show what sort of an a-hole Johnson actually was, and to convince you that, treason was right up his alley, to put it shortly. The main thesis of the book is that while Cuba and Vietnam may have played some role, what really got Kennedy off was the fact that he was determined to keep Israel from developing nuclear weapons. And the book contains quite a lot of information backing up that claim, and basically asserts that Kennedy's assassination was done with the foreknowledge. I always assumed myself that LBJ became an accomplice after the fact rather than before the fact, but this book says otherwise. And and other evidence lies in the fact that Jack Ruby, whose real name was Reuben Stein, was a card-carrying member of the Jewish mafia or Jewish organized crime, which also ran most of the casinos on Cuba prior to Castro's takeover. So, and probably one of them was the person who actually pulled the trigger, but we don't know. In any case, I commend the book to anybody who wants to find other reasons why they should be deeply disturbed by Israel's incomprehensible control of our government. Thank you.
The book is called Remember the Liberty, Almost Sunk by Treason and on the High Seas. And the book that Tim is referring to is called The Unspoken Kennedy Truth by Laurent Guyenot. I'll mention that Amar is very involved with our monthly series that we put on every 10th of the month that is commemorating Kennedy's speech at American University for reconciliation and rapprochement, and Amar is very interested in the Kennedy case and should know about that book as well. And here's Phil's book. All proceeds from sales go to the Survivors Association, and we have several copies that Phil has sent to us. There we have it. Is there anybody online who would like to join us in conversation or in rhetorical question that? No. Folks, thank you for being with us, and we finally got to hear Phil's entire story without any audio interference or issues, and we are so proud that will go on our YouTube channel for a lot of people to listen to and hear about Phil. If you want to hear a longer extended version of his story, Candace Owens did a very detailed, long interview with Phil Tourney. Candace Owens, who otherwise I'm not crazy about, but she is on the right side of this issue, and this interview that she did has been viewed by millions on many platforms. And that's where I first heard Phil's story. And I also want to acknowledge Joan Livingston, the late beloved member of this church, who first suggested that we have Phil Tourney of the USS Liberty Association on. Joan had studied that incident pretty carefully, as she had many things that you can find on her Facebook page, which still exists, and you go back and you can find an enormous amount of material. So let's call our meeting over. And thank you again for joining us, both on Zoom and YouTube, and the best and most favorable in person, us, here, together. Prince.
Our great musician, what part of the country is he based or located?
Rod McDonald and his family live in Delray Beach, Florida. But Rod is presently on tour in the Northeast. We almost thought we could have him live in person, but he's in Woodstock, New York, which is about 6 or 7 hours away. They played last night, and they're going in another direction this morning, so we have them online. Rod McDonald and Mark Dan are their names. Yeah, thanks for remembering them. Sisters and brothers, our meeting is over. Sisters and brothers, we must part. Sisters and brothers, we'll be gone, but I will hold you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore, we will land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore and be safe forevermore. Thank you, Phil Tourney. Thank you, Rod McDonald and Mark Dan. And we'll see you next week for the annual meeting for members. We need a super quorum. We have some important bylaws amendments. I hope you can join us at noon, either live, 11 a.m. for a brunch, and noon meeting, either live or virtually. Thanks again, and thanks, Amar, for your excellent technical help, indispensable technical help. Annual meeting is our last program. That's it. We have a couple of other events, but we have a couple of other events during the summer, but we don't have a regular Sunday program, except for one in July, and yeah, that's about it. So stay tuned, join our email list, and we'll see you soon.